Welcome to the Transition Times. The Transition Times is a monthly segment on transition. I'll be covering new information related to transition assessments, Indicator 13, and an SKACD spotlight each month. Each area will come with a challenge. Staff who complete the Google form, find the link in the description, to indicate challenge completion will be entered for a drawing to be given out next month. This month is a general overview of transition assessments, Indicator 13, and a special showcase of community mentors. You might be asking yourself, what are transition assessments and why do we use them? Similar to the reading, writing, math, communication, and social-emotional areas on the IEP, we utilize assessments for transition as data points to help us develop post-secondary goals for our students. Special education law indicates that we must conduct age-appropriate transition assessments at a minimum in the areas of employment, training, education, and if necessary, independent living. The good news is that you likely already have access to assessment data that is already being collected. You can incorporate cognitive or achievement testing information collected by the school psychologist at 3-year reevaluations, data from a student's individualized plan of study or IPS document, standardized testing information like the ACT, ASVAB, or other tests. So think about what your students are already completing for other classes, like career or college interest inventories, employability skill assessments, and more. If your school is using Career Cruising or a Zello platform, ask to be placed on your student's account to access that information. This information makes great conversation starters with your students. Your challenge this month is to find current assessments already being given to students on your caseload that you can utilize for transition planning. Next month, we will cover more specific assessments you can utilize to collect information. Indicator 13 is one of the 17 indicators included in Part B of the State Performance Plan Review and relates specifically to secondary transition. Indicator 13 has a series of 8 questions that audit whether or not the IEP meets the requirements of the indicator. Indicator 13 is the percent of youth with IEPs age 16 and above with an IEP that includes appropriate measurable post-secondary goals that are annually updated and based upon an age-appropriate transition assessment, transition services, including courses of study that will reasonably enable the student to meet those post-secondary goals and annual IEP goals related to the student's transition service needs. There also must be evidence that the student was invited to the IEP team meeting where transition services are to be discussed, and evidence that, if appropriate, a representative of any participating agency was invited to the IEP team meeting, with the prior consent of the parent or student who has reached the age of majority. The indicator can be assessed throughout a checklist, which encompasses 8 underlined portions of the law. We will dive into each one of these questions to learn more and further our understanding of the indicator as a whole, and therefore improve our compliance in this area. Your challenge this month is to read through the Indicator 13 checklist and identify an area of growth for your next IEP. Next month, we will cover question 1, which answers whether or not there are appropriate post-secondary goals. This month, I'd like to highlight one of our staff members who connected a student interested in pursuing a career in culinary arts with a culinary instructor and PhD candidate in the area. The student and professor have similar backgrounds and connect via Zoom on a regular basis during the school year to discuss the student's future and questions about the industry. The PhD candidate even sent a pre-publication journal article to the student who, with his IEP case manager, read and discussed the article. The goal of the meeting between the university staff member and student are to further explore the field of culinary arts in the academic and practical application settings. This is an example of what we can be adding to our transition service section of the IEP. Your challenge this month is to brainstorm a list of at least 3 people you know in the community you teach that you could connect a student with. Don't forget to complete the challenge by submitting the Google form found in the description. See you next month.